You're experiencing the Authentic Chaos podcast, an exploration into our inner selves and journeys of self-discovery. And here in beautiful Chiang Mai, Thailand, I have a special guest, Dan Pearce, a friend that I've made on my travels and the tour that I'm doing.
Thanks, Morgan. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Of course. I'm glad that, we just met each other a couple days ago, and you expressed we expressed a lot of similarities and interest in self-discovery and travel. And so I want to really capture some of that conversation for the audience. So first, tell my audience, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, so I'm originally from South Africa. I lived there for 27 years. Also did a bit of traveling around Africa. Been to Zimbabwe, been to Botswana, been to Cape Town, been up to Johannesburg, lived in Pretoria for 3 years. And then, we went through a bit of a relationship, sort of broke up. And then I realized, there's no point in me staying in my office job. I'd already done my degree. So I was like, well, let me go start traveling. And been the best decision of my life so far. Went to America, worked at a summer camp in Pennsylvania for 3 months. So met a lot of American people, see how they live, see how they work, get to know their culture, everything else, and then traveled America. So I did what we do now, doing a Kontiki tour. I went from New York all the way down to Miami, and then from Miami all the way up and across to California. So it was 25 states and 26 days.
Oh, wow. That's quite the tour of America.
Yeah, I did a lot. Did a lot in that short time. And then, from there, went back to South Africa for a couple months, and then went to Israel, worked on a kibbutz, and then traveled around there, been to the Dead Sea, been to Jerusalem, been to Tel Aviv, been to, good couple places around there. Really enjoyed that. And then, came back. And while I was there in Israel, I knew I had to start earning money because, of course, traveling isn't cheap, as we all know. So I had to start earning some money. So I spoke to my friends and said, well, why don't you get into yachting? And I know yachting recently has just taken off. A lot of people watch Below Deck. So it's become a very sort of showbiz sort of thing. So I've gone and done that. And, of course, that's you get paid to travel. It is hard work, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So I go around and travel and, also done the Med, most around there, then also done some Caribbean. So so I'd say probably in total traveling that I've done has probably been in the last 5-6 years. So I've done a lot. So
wow, that's quite a short amount of time for the amount that you've done. You've kind of explored half the world in those short years. So you mentioned that the relationship ending kind of kicked this all off. What about that kicked your drive to explore more?
So I always kind of planned to explore and to go see the world, because I realized that there's a lot more out there in the world, and of course different people, different cultures, and the things I was always interested in seeing. Mm-hmm. But when it was then, I'd kind of just left university, or just finished university, just moved into a new place, or rent a new place with a girlfriend then, with ex-girlfriend. And then so of course the money was tight then. So traveling at that point wasn't the easiest.
Yeah.
So as soon as, or not as soon, but when we broke up, then I managed to have a bit more sort of dispendable income.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, cool. And of course I was there in the same area, because I live in Kloof in Durban, and it's pretty small around that small sort of suburb. So wherever I went, I would either see her out, or we'd all have common friends together and things like that. So it was just tough to kind of heal and process and move on.
Yeah.
So I went, you know what, it's probably maybe back then, probably not the best way to look at it, but I was like, I need to get out of here. I need my own space. I need a bit of a I want to go do something. I need a change.
Yeah.
So then went to America, and going to new places and seeing new things and meeting new people. You realize that the world is a lot bigger out there, and there's a lot more people that you see and meet and get along with and learn from and grow from. And for me, it was a great experience. And it's not like it helped me just forget about her, because of course you won't. And when you're in a relationship, travels, you don't just forget about people. It doesn't happen that easy.
Yeah.
But traveling just helps you show that there's more out there than staying in your small little suburb or the area that you are, and thinking that, oh, this is the life I have to live. When you go and travel, you go, you know what, I can move here, I can change my life, I can live in this apartment, I could go live on the water somewhere else, I can live. And it just opens your eyes. It gives you more options out in the world.
Yeah.
So,
It's true. So it seems like travel was an important part of your healing process. Do you feel like So what were some of the things you learned initially when you started traveling?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Because of course, when I started traveling, when I went to do this first big America trip, and I was gone for, because I think it was 3 months at the summer camp, and then the 26 days, or pretty much a month, traveling around by myself. So when you
like
go
you were gone for like 4 months.
yeah. So I had gone overseas when I was younger, but I went with my
Yeah.
parents, and I went with someone who there was always family around at some point. So this was my first time. I went, okay, cool. It's just me, backpack on, cool, let's go. So the first thing I realized is definitely don't be shy. People sometimes look at people and go, oh my word, people are so mean. They like snappy and everything. But of course, everyone has a different accent. It looks different and comes from a different culture. So when you go to a different country, one thing I realized is as soon as you start talking and they hear you're not from there, people immediately want to try and help. So the one thing is don't be shy, but also don't be rude to people, because then of course they're not going to help you. But if you go up to people and go, sorry, I'm a little bit lost, please can you help me? Or just go ask a simple question. Like even in the airport, there's people that work at the airport. They're meant to help you. So you go to them and you go, sorry, I need a taxi, I need to get to this place, and just be nice about it. And that does get you very far in traveling, because it's a way to learn local knowledge. And as soon as you start getting local knowledge, then it opens up a lot more of traveling. You become a lot more comfortable, because it's always the first thing as you do it. Solo traveler, just beginning traveling, you walk out the airport, on your bag, and you go, well,
Yeah, you're like, what do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like big panic. You kind of get there and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh my word, what's going on?
Oh my God. Like, I remember, sorry to interrupt,
No, it's okay.
but like I felt like this is super relevant. So like when I landed in Bangkok, the first thing I normally try to do is like, okay, I'm going to train to my Airbnb or something like that. Right. And I just remember it was like, it was rush hour in Bangkok, and the metro was just slammed. There was like a tidal wave of people just flowing, and like the kind of panic and stress that I was going through was like it was bearable, but like I was definitely on an elevated level of like paying attention, because I'm like, okay, this is a foreign language that I'm not familiar with. I'm trying to figure things out. But like as I calmed down and like asked questions, like I asked an attendant, like I didn't know how to work the ticket machine, and someone at the airport was was there to help you. Like people are there, like staff is there to help, and you don't have to, even if you're traveling alone, you aren't alone. Like there are people just like you everywhere, and if you ask people for help, people will generally be happy to help, as long as you're kind about it. And I think that's an important point that you pointed out. Like, be kind, show your kindness, show your like humanity, and people will want to help you, and that makes traveling so much easier.
Yeah, and that's what, like I'm saying, a big thing is, and of course I've done it a lot here for this trip coming through here, and most people do it. They sit at home and they do research, and I realized the best way of getting the information is when you are actually here, like on the ground in the area, and then you're asking people.
Yeah.
Because people could post stuff online and give you research, but it could be 3-4 years ago, and that might have changed.
Right.
Not saying it's wrong, but things update, things change.
And some facts don't like mean anything to you yet.
Yeah.
Like hearing that, like for instance, to keep on to the Bangkok example, that Bangkok is a city of 8 million people. You're like, oh, that sounds like a big city, but like actually being in it and seeing like the traffic, seeing the people, seeing the rush of life, you're like, oh wow,
This is like 15 billion people
Yeah.
instead of 8. It's just people everywhere.
It seems like the whole world is in this one place.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent point, where like you can do as much research as you want about a place, but experiencing it is going to be so much different.
Yeah, I've figured out, like you're saying, and it's also a good example of the train tickets. The smaller things that you don't think about. You know, you plan the place you want to go and travel and what you want to do, but you only realize actually how to get around and how to get there when you actually here and you're on the train, and you know trains are late or trains are early, or like for here example, the tuk-tuks, how much a tuk-tuk will cost. Maybe you can find a cheaper one, like also doing like a Grab, which is like the Thai version of Uber, and that's a lot cheaper, and that helps. We only realize that and pick up on that when we hear and we talk to people. That's the small stuff that you got to do, and you need to give yourself time for that. And the best way I've learned from that is to ask. Asking people give you experiences of information that you don't have, and they have on their fingertips, and they know exactly what to do. And I think that is definitely one of the best ways to start when you start traveling, and that is one thing I learned.
So what would you say to someone who, because you're a pretty extroverted guy, you made friends here on this tour very quickly,
Yeah.
and very close friends very quickly. But what advice would you give to someone who's a little bit more shy? Maybe they haven't traveled as much as you.
Okay, yeah, so like exactly what you're saying. I'm a very talkative person. I don't mind going up to anyone. I'm not shy. But when I was younger, I used to be shy. I used to be shy. I used to be sometimes scared of people. I never really used to go and talk. The one thing that I have learned is people are people, and what also helps the most is don't if you are traveling, if unless you kind of know what you're doing and you're not a shy person, asking just a random person on the street, that can be daunting. That can sometimes go right, or it could sometimes go very wrong.
Yeah.
But if you want to try to find out the information around you, the best places are to go to the places that are the transport that you need. So go to the bus stations, go to the train stations, go to the airports, and then you'll see the guys walking around in jackets, or even go up to the teller. You don't have to go up to the teller to buy anything. They're also there. They know more information than any of us.
Yeah.
But the problem is that, or not the problem, but the great part about it is that they are paid to help people travel and find out where they're going.
Yeah.
And that for me is like free information that they are more than willing to give, because that's their job, kind of. So that's one thing. If you are shy to go, and if you're too shy to ask any just random person on the street, then yeah, that's a great way. Otherwise, if you're too shy to even go ask people at all, the thing you are going to have to do is a lot of online research, and Google Maps. So that's helped me a lot. It's given me a lot of time frames. That there are good a couple of things that have helped. But yeah, it's unfortunately one of those things that when you go travel, you are going to meet a lot of different people from around the world.
Yeah.
You're going to talk to different people, and that's why just be true to yourself, and everyone's on the same boat as you in the trip. Everyone is by themselves. They're shy, they're scared, they don't know the unknown, they don't know what to do, so they want to make friends. Humans, we are sort of creatures that want
We're
to.
social creatures.
Social creatures, exactly. So you want to make friends, and you're not the only one on the trip that wants to do it. Everyone else does. So when you come together, just, hey, how are you? Nice, just normal conversation. And then as soon as you do that, because like I'm saying, in the beginning I was shy, and I used to be scared to go ask people. Now I've gone on and traveled enough of going, you know what? It saves me a good 5-10 minutes researching online, instead of just going to someone and just being really nice to them and going, hey, how are you doing? Please can you help me? I'm stuck here. And if they don't give the information or they're not helpful, go, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Turn around, go to someone else.
Yeah.
There'll always be a nice person out there.
Always be kind, for sure.
Exactly.
And if someone hears you talking to someone, and maybe the person you're talking to doesn't speak English, but they do, maybe they'll chime in too and be like, oh, I can help you out. That's happened to me before.
That's also happened to me before.
And it's really kind. And there's so much more to communication than just like talking. I remember I was in Italy, in kind of the southern Italy, and I took the wrong train. And I got off on this train station. It was empty, full of graffiti. It looked run down, and I was kind of nervous, because I was I don't know where I am. I'm in a small town, and this kind old Italian couple saw that me and my ex were freaking out, and they didn't speak any English, but they beckoned to us. And that's all we needed to know, because they just showed us the way. They pointed in the direction we needed to go, and we found our way back to to the right train.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying, is that people, even if you're too shy to go and ask, and people, like I was saying, become a lot more friendly when they hear you have a different accent.
Yeah.
But when you come from a different country, everyone has a different look. I've gone through the travels I've gone through, people look at me and they go, oh yeah, you're definitely South African, aren't you? And I'm like, how do you know? They're like, because you look a certain way. British people look different to South African people, and Australians look different. Everyone has their look. Usually it's a cultural, or it's the country you come from. So when you're not there, and especially a lot of people, you can pick them out, people that are comfortable, that live there and they know where they're going, to people that are walking around with big bags and they're looking around and stuff like that. And there's something about you, they have a look and they go, okay, they're lost, they're a traveler. And sometimes the nicest people will come up to you and go, hey, I see you lost, can I help you?
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't even have to. But if that's your plan, to kind of stand around and look lost, you might be waiting for a while until someone helps you. So.
But sometimes, but I also think that in some cases people want to show you that there's kindness in their country.
Yeah.
People love their countries, and they want to make a good impression for tourists. So if you are lost, if you are confused, don't hide it. Don't pretend like you aren't.
Yeah, don't be embarrassed about being lost. So many people
Everyone gets lost.
Yeah, everybody gets
Everybody
lost.
gets
Even if you
lost.
have an absolute watertight plan and you got it down to the second, sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things out of your control. Trains are late, planes are too early, things like that happen. So sometimes you also need to know, which I've also learned going through my life and traveling, is going, you know what, put out one fire at a time. Don't look
Yeah.
at the whole thing as the whole, especially now, probably perfect analogy here in Thailand. Don't look at the whole elephant. Take it piece by piece and put the fire out one at a time. And as soon as you do that, and you realize you're going, don't start trying to think problems up in your head, because it can escalate in traveling, which I've learned very quickly. Then you're running, you go, crap, I got to catch this train, I got to catch this, I got to do this. And then you're ruining your own trip because you're panicking and you're freaking out. It's great to just go, you know what, if I'm on this train and I get there and I'm late, I'll just wait for the next one. So especially when it comes to traveling, what I've also learned is stay calm and don't panic. You can look lost and people will help you. But if you look panicked, I've noticed people don't help people that look panicked. The people that are running through the airport, and we've all been there, we've all seen them. No one stops a person running through the airport and go, oh, I can see you lost, can I help you? They just kind of move out their way and they go, okay, they're running, they know where they're going, they're doing their own thing.
Right.
So as soon as you stay calm, one problem at a time, and you go through, then traveling isn't as stressful as most people think. They're like, oh, I'm leaving my country, my safe haven, and I'm going to go travel. I'm going to another place that I don't speak the language. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's happening. But if you just go, you know what, stay calm, just think logically, and just go step by step, then you'll realize traveling isn't as daunting as most people think. Traveling is really eye-opening, and it also shows what you're made of. It shows your personality. It brings your personality out, because when you're traveling by yourself, you're relying on yourself.
Yeah.
You have no one else there to help you. And it does. It brings out a lot in you, and it honestly shows you what you're made of. And then when you go back home, you're like, oh, I got these stories. It's great. And everyone looks at you and you're like, wow, I can't believe you've gone and done that. That's great. And it just helps you. It makes you feel good as a person, and it boosts your, not probably the best way to say it, but boosts your ego. It gives you that confidence. That's probably a better word. It starts building your own confidence.
It builds your confidence.
Because you look at it and you go, oh, you know what? I've actually gone and I've traveled to another country by myself, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what was happening. But you know what? I traveled there. I made the best of it. I had an awesome time. I got back home. I'm safe.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks I've had an awesome time. I've got photos. And you're like, you know what? So if I can do that, why can't I do the next one?
Yeah.
And then when you go to your job and you come back and then you're doing your job and you go, okay, well, when I was traveling, I was sorting out this problem and that problem. Now you're at work and going, I can sort out this problem too. And it calms you down. It makes you more in touch with everything around you, and makes you a lot more confident in yourself. That, you know what, Ben, like, you know what, I can handle things in life now. I've done this really cool, awesome thing of traveling, and now I can relate it to different aspects of my life. And it really honestly does help.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have two reflections on what you said, and I think you said those things so beautifully. One is that you don't have to travel alone if you don't want to. If you haven't traveled much, or if you're going to a place that's very foreign to you and you want to get the most experience out of it, but you don't know like the language or how to get around, tours are an excellent opportunity.
Yes,
like,
that is true.
we're doing this Kontiki tour of Thailand, Laos and Cambodia, and I did this mostly because I wanted to explore these countries, but I know that Laos and Cambodia especially don't speak English. There probably won't be as many English speakers. And if I want the full experience of these countries, then having a tour will be an excellent way to do it. So yeah, if you haven't traveled much, or if you're nervous about traveling, I definitely recommend doing tours.
Yes, that is true. That is one thing I'll never look back on. And that's why I've done this as a solo traveler, going on tours, besides going around and actually doing the trip and seeing the country you're in. I've done my trip and I went to America, and I've made friends that I'll probably have for the rest of my life. And I know I'm going to make friends on this trip.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. We met each other, and what other time would we have ever met each other? We live like half a world away from each other. Yeah,
completely different sides of the world. Yeah. So, and then we're really 4 days in now. Now we're having deep chats. And we're discussing things about life and everything. And that's the point about traveling. You go there, you meet other people, you learn their experiences, you grow as a person. And you'll make friends you'll have for the rest of your life. Like, I've been invited to weddings, to people on the other side of the world, just from going around and touring with them for a good couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because we with each other every single day, all day, experiencing all this traveling together.
Yeah, and you really get to know people.
Yeah, and you come very close to people. And then it's great. Then you go and you visit them in their country, they come and visit yours. So yeah, no, traveling, that is correct. Traveling in a group with everyone, because everyone's in a like-minded situation. Everyone wants to travel and everyone wants to see the same stuff. And it helps. It really does help.
Yeah. So the second thing I wanted to bring up is that you were talking about how traveling makes you more aware, makes you more comfortable, makes you more confident, and that focusing on the immediate things will help you like avoid being panicked and too stressed out. And I think that's a really good point of presence and being present in the moment.
Yes.
And it doesn't just apply to traveling, it applies to your whole life. Like people, I feel like so many people these days are so lost in either the past, like what has been, and thinking about what could have been differently, or thinking about the future and like all the things that can happen, like thinking about the next thing at work, thinking about like problems that could happen in your relationship, or like stressors down the road, which aren't happening right now. And then you forget about the now and you forget about where you're at. I like to say that, and I've experienced this. I've traveled with people who thought that they could go on vacation and just shut off, or like just switch off their brain and go into vacation mode. But it doesn't work like that. If you bring to the experience the baggage that you had before.
Yeah. It's the same as also, like we say, meeting so many people throughout a trip. You bring that baggage with you, but you still get along. But like we see on our day sheets that they make for us, you're usually so busy throughout the day. Like we did it, we laughed about it the other day. I couldn't even remember what I had for breakfast. We've been that busy. Like the days, they just fly by. But being this is the one time you're going to be in this country, so you need to make the best of it. So you concentrate on being present, what's in front of you. Because we know, like we've gone to probably 4 or 5 temples now.
Yeah.
But I know in my head, and that's why I look at it and I take photos and I try to soak it in, because I know I might not ever come back to this temple ever again in my life.
Exactly.
So you need to be there and you need to enjoy the moment, and you don't need to plan. This is why you've been on a tour, this is why you've paid, because it's all been planned for you. Yeah. So this is the moment where you take it in, but again, like we said, issues still happen. So that's when you have to be there and go, instead of like when you're in a relationship, then you kind of overthink things and then you create problems that aren't there. So instead of doing that, just be in the moment. Okay, a problem has arisen. Okay, cool. Let's fix it. And then we move on and continue with the trip. Because you don't want to ruin your own trip just because you're worried and panicking and overthinking things.
Yeah.
So just stay present in it. And that's what like we say, and that's what I've learned from traveling, is enjoy every moment. Don't look into the past and go, oh, it's such a good time then, and try recreate that. Because it hardly ever happens. If it happens once, it's an absolute great time. You really enjoyed it. You might not get the same experience again.
Right. And
then looking into the future, it means then you're missing what's right in front of you. What's right in front of you? Life is happening right in front of you now. So looking into the future, if you keep living in the future, you're missing what's going on in front of you now. And that's the point about life, is living what's happening in front of you. Because this is what you can control now. You can't control what's really come and gone, and you can't control what's happening ahead. You can only control what's happening now.
It's true. And to borrow from the Buddhist philosophies that we're being exposed to on this trip, the present moment is the key. It's the only real moment that we have. The past is gone. The future might never happen in the way we think it does. So these moments that we live in are the most important. And I like that you brought an analogy of a relationship, because I think that just like it's important to enjoy all of the moments that you have when traveling, because you never know if you'll get into these situations again. It's also important to be present for every moment in any relationship, friendship, family, romantic relationship, because for me at least, the shared experiences I have with the people close to me are kind of like these temples. Like, they are unique, they are beautiful, and some of them they seem small. They may not be covered in gold. They might not have these like hundreds of stairs that lead up to this grand like temple, this grand display, but it might be something small, like sharing a funny moment, like a random happenstance, or like coming across like a cute animal and like both like awing together and falling in love with it together. Like seeing the twinkle in each other's eyes when you when you share food together. Like, these moments are what make the relationships between us so special. And it pains me when I see people just like kind of ignore them, or not like be focused on them, like eating a meal with someone while they're on their phone, or like complaining about their partner instead of like, spreading their loving words about them.
Yeah.
Like, I think we'd be better travelers, and I think we'd be better, we'd be happier people if we focused on the stresses of life, and instead we focused on some of the beauty, and be a little bit grateful for what we have and focus on what we have.
Yeah. So that's exactly true. And I know exactly what you're saying, is that it's a small moments in life, because like we're saying, like for us, how many times have we been in the bus today and someone said something and we've all had a laugh and we've all enjoyed it, and that's the small things that people, like you're saying, in a relationship take for granted. So the small things of just lying on the sofa with your girlfriend or whoever your partner is, and just watching a movie. People sit there and they go, oh no, I'm bored, I want to go do stuff and things like that. You're not going to have a party again like you did on your wedding day, or you're not going to have a party again like the time you met each other and when you went out or went on your first date. That might, again, not saying it might not happen again, I could be wrong, but it's the small things that you appreciate, and it's the small things that keep you going and will keep you happy. If you keep wanting these big, amazing first dates or these big gestures of love and stuff like that, that doesn't often happen, or it doesn't sort of work out the way you want it to. It's better to go, you know what, enjoy the small things while you're together and have the fun and enjoy it together. Because I've also done it where I've traveled with other people and I've family members and my old partners and things like that, and it's not like we've even gone far. It's still been in South Africa, and there's still memories with them that I cherish, that I had fun with them. It wasn't the big overseas trips, and it wasn't the seeing the Eiffel Tower and doing all that. It was just like where I come from, going to the Drakensberg Mountains and just sitting there around a fire and cooking food. It's small things like that, but it's what
they're
makes
not
you
small.
happy.
I feel like we call them small because
but they're not.
Our culture and social media especially makes it seem like, when you have to do these big gestures of love, otherwise you don't really love your partner. But they're not small. Those are the moments that really matter. And I'd say that for traveling too. I feel like so many people travel for the Instagram shot. They travel for their social media, and then you're not traveling for yourself. And
I've noticed that. I've literally, from personal experience, we were, I think it was in America, and we pulled over and they're like, oh, this is a great spot. The person gets off the train, gets there, all happy, have the photos, have the smile, get back on the bus and fall asleep because I was severely hungover. Or something like that. I can't remember, having a bad day, severely hungover, something like that. But on the Instagram, it looks like they're happy and they're smiling and everything, and then they get on. And that's what I've realized, is that it's how you, especially saying towards traveling and relationships and all that, it's how you feel through the experience. So it's how you feel through the relationship. If you show love to someone and you feel love back through the relationship, it's great, you have a good time. But if it's just to show the outside world that, we're dating, or we're this, or the same as traveling, if you're just showing the outside world, we've traveled, we've done that, or you love your experience, it opens up a lot more doors, and you experience and feel a lot more as you're traveling and as you're going through it. And even though, I was saying, those are the small moments stuff, those are sometimes the ones you feel the most. So there shouldn't be the big moments, because the big moments, I've done it before. I've gone and thought, this is going to be great. This is on the top of my bucket list. Really want to do it. Got there and I was like, it's not really what I thought it was. I was a little bit disappointed. But then I've gone to places where I'm like, I don't even know what this place is. A small, as we're saying, a small sort of gesture. And I've gone through it and I've had a great time. I've experienced things and I've walked out of there happy as could be. It happens. It's as long as you're open to the experience and you're open to receiving love and giving love, and just trying to, like I said earlier, we were chatting about it, of going, you know what, no one loves you like you, and no one can also make you happy. You make yourself happy, and other people around you either enhance that happiness and make you feel better, or it can sometimes go the opposite way. But of course, you want to look on the positive. So that's the thing. You are as happy as you make it, and you give out love, and everything works. And as it goes from there, then you look at life differently. You don't look at life of going, I've got these problems. I can't travel and do this because I don't have any money. I don't have that. I look at it going, you know what, I don't have money now. Cool. I'll start planning. I'll get the excited feeling of traveling, but I'll plan for 2-3 years as I'm saving up money. So by the time I'm ready to go, I'll be like, I'm so excited to go because I've been planning this for so long. Give yourself things to look forward to, you know what, push yourself, give yourself that drive to go and travel, and give yourself that drive and that relationship to go, you know, maybe we're having problems now, or it's a small thing or something like that, but as long as you have that drive and you have that commitment, then you're ready. You can make life something completely different than just sitting back and being like, yeah, I'm just here for the ride sort of thing. So, yeah.
I loved the point of, sometimes the big things that you thought you'd be excited for, you end up like not caring about, or like they don't hit you as much,
As hard, yeah.
But like the small things that you didn't expect, like have big meaning to you. And like, yeah, that happens to me like a lot. Like I've noticed that a lot, especially in my early days of travel. And I'd always be like, wait, why isn't I should be feeling more at this place, and I don't know why I'm not. And then I'd be like, wow, I don't know why this memory is sticking to me so long. And I think that the thought of like, oh, I should enjoy this moment, or I should not enjoy this moment, that I think that's our ego getting in the way of like of our souls. And our souls, or our feelings, are saying we appreciate this moment, we don't appreciate this moment. Maybe this big fancy like golden castle is like whatever, but like this small like tiny shed that served delicious food was like, wow, like this was a special moment. And like so to me, that's me. I would interpret that as like, that's my soul, my emotions telling me that like this moment is more important to me than this moment. Even though other people are telling me, the outside world is telling me that this other moment should be more important to me, I want to listen to myself, and you should listen to yourself. And that's a huge part of being present. Like it's not just about surviving on travels. It's also about experiencing what you want to experience, and making these memories that stick to you, and not judging yourself for sticking to you. I came across this saying that like I really loved earlier this year. It's called "Starve your ego to feed your soul."
Yes, I have. I've heard that saying before. Because like they say, ego is a short-lived emotion. Ego will make you feel happy for a while, but as soon as that fades away, then you usually back to where you are. But also one thing is exactly what you're saying on the topic that we're discussing, is that one thing you also realize is when you at your hometown, there's certain things that you like because you've been brought up that way. This is where we go shopping, this is where we go for dinner, this is where we do this. Now when you're over here and you're in a completely different country, you don't know what you like in that country, you don't know where you are, and then you get to know yourself more, and you go, oh, you know what, I actually like this. I've never tried it, but I actually like this. So you're growing. And then when you realize more of what you like, then when you're traveling around and you go for those, what they're supposed to be, say, social media, going, oh, this place is fantastic, it's awesome. You go there and you get disappointed. Like you're saying, your soul and everything, but it's you learning about yourself, going, you know what, actually, I don't like this. Maybe I'm not the person that wants to be that social media famous and want that nice photo and want that. I'd rather be like when we went to the waterfalls the other day. Like beautiful waterfalls, amazing. But I saw so many people try to go for the big ones, the sitting under the rock.
The ones that we were told that like were the Instagram shots.
Instagram photos. And we went there, and both of us, we went there, and I looked at it, and I'm like, there were people everywhere. And I was like, all having photos.
Like,
and I was like, I don't want to go and get involved in that. We went to our own little pool, but further up in the river, and we sat there and we had a conversation. And for me, that was great. That stuck out of my head.
And it was serene. It was beautiful. It was calming.
We had the place to ourselves. It was great. And that's what I've realized. That's what I like. I'll go see the usual, the usual touristy place and all that, because you're in Thailand, or you're in America, or you're in Europe, or you are wherever, and it's nice because it's on a lot of people's bucket lists as they're growing up. They want to see the places, but it's not like you got to go there and go, oh wow, this is amazing, this is great. Just be true to yourself, and you like what you like. If you go there, look at it, go, okay, cool photo, oh it's great, cool, I've been here. Then go to the place that you find that makes you happy. It could be a park bench in Central Park instead of going to Central Square. Is it Central Square? Times Square, that one. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Times Square. Sorry about that. So that could be the difference. It's just, like you say, you got to listen to your soul, as you're saying, and what you like as you're traveling. And you'll realize the traveler that you are. And then, again, the world opens up to you. You go and do things. Like you'll go to a country and they'll go, oh, did you go see the Eiffel Tower, say, in France? No, I didn't go there because I went somewhere else. I went to back streets down in France, and I found this amazing restaurant that had the best brown onion soup I've ever tasted. That'll stick in your mind more because that's what you like. That's your soul talking to you. So that's when you travel, you learn so much about yourself, and it rounds you more as a person, because then you start becoming more comfortable with yourself. You start going, you know what? as a group, they say, oh, let's go here. But you don't want to go and do it. So then you start getting your self-confidence going, sorry, guys, I don't like that. That's not what I want to do. And then you start standing up for yourself, and then you get your voice, and then it just builds from there, and it just leads from one thing to the next.
Then you like figure yourself out more.
Exactly.
I call it finding your authentic chaos.
Exactly.
And,
yes.
yeah. And I don't know if you've like heard my initial episode. Probably not, because I haven't actually sent you my podcast link yet. But like just as a small, like a brief like intro to it. So I call it your authentic chaos, because I see it as like finding your inner voice, and that your inner voice seems like hectic. It seems like it does all these chaotic things. You don't quite understand it, but there is an underlying order. There is a foundation to it. And it's all about, and like one of the things I push on this podcast is for us to be introspective and try to figure out what are our underlying values.
Yes.
And traveling is an excellent way to do that.
Yeah,
to find
because
those values.
Usually I find a lot of people that I've done it, that people that stay, again, that don't really travel, that stay in their suburbs, stay in their town, go through life, do the same 9-to-5 job, do the same thing, do the same routine. You're not pushing yourself, you're not challenging your, like you're saying, your inner voice, you're not expressing yourself up, because you're comfortable. You're in your routine, you're comfortable. As soon as you're thrown out of your routine, then that's when chaos kicks off. And as you're saying, the chaos inside kicks off, you panic, oh, where am I going, what am I doing this? And that's when you start to learn about yourself. That's when you start listening to that voice, and you go, maybe we should go here, maybe we should do this. And a lot of the time your voice is right. You'll be walking down the streets in a country you don't know, and someone will kind of be like following you or something, and your inner voice will go, just watch that person, something might be wrong. And a lot of the time, well, you might go, a taxi might pull up, and you might, after a couple of drinks, be going home, and a taxi might pull up, and you just get a vibe, and your inner voice is telling you, don't get into the taxi, don't do it. But the only way you know that, because you're not going to get you'll probably end up knowing half the taxi drivers around in your town or your suburb, and you'll never get that voice, you'll never get that chance to, like you're saying, experience the chaos, to learn about yourself, to grow, to develop. And actually listen to your inner voice and go, okay, cool, it's you and me, inner voice, sort of, we're going to take on the world, we're going traveling, this is what we're doing, let's work together instead of just working against each other. And then that's when you start figuring out what you like, what you don't like. And again, the world opens up and it goes from there.
And I want to give some like positive examples of your inner voice coming out during the vacation, during like traveling, because you brought up some key survival aspects of it. But like, it's also like we were talking about how if you find an experience that like really brings you joy, that's your inner voice telling you, hey, this is something that's important to me. Like us finding that like little pooled out waterfall area that was like calm and serene, that was our like inner voices saying like, yeah, this is nice, just enjoying the nature, enjoying each other, and like having this authentic moment.
Yeah, and it's one of those, that's what we needed. Like, of course, we could have kept hiking up further, and we all know it was a hell of a hike up there. It was strenuous. It was definitely tough.
Yeah.
But that's what we needed. There's just a bit of time, just float in the water, a bit of like communication between us, which is great. And we just floated, and we had a bit of a rest and a bit of a swim and a bit of like relaxation.
Fish eating feet.
Yeah, exactly. All of us kind of jumping around screaming. But that's what we needed. We needed that, just floating there and getting to know each other and just having a chat. You don't always have to go traveling and just go 1,000 miles an hour and I've got to see this and I've got to be there and I've got to do that. Sometimes, you know what, slow down, sit back and let the world go past you a little bit. And that's when amazing things happen. And it's really cool. And just enjoy it, slow down. And then, because again, you got to give the chaos sometimes a little bit of a rest. Otherwise it could get a bit much. So,
True. Like doing different paces is important. Like some things you want to do quick, you want to move quick, but giving yourself that space to like also slow down. Like that change of pace can really help like moments really sink in for you. Because then you can really focus on it. Yeah,
so a good example of that was when I was 16, I went and did pretty much most of Europe with my parents on a Trafalgar tour. And I'll never forget, we were in Italy in the Vatican, and that was, the Pope was talking then. And the Vatican is huge. Like the outside area is massive. And most of the trip, they've been like, cool, we'll meet up, go for dinner there, take your time, just walk around, stroll around. But that was the time you're speaking. So there were so many people there. The whole Vatican area was covered in people. It was like a concert times 10. It was huge. And that was the time when we go, okay, now we need to go fast pace. And the guy said, you know what, while everyone's looking up at him, perfect time for us to get in the Vatican. We'll get round in the front of the line and we can go into the Vatican. And we managed to go in on the day the Pope was there, and he was walking around and everything, and we were just normal just tourists, and we got to see him, which was great.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
That's super special.
Yeah, and that was the time where it goes, okay, guys, this is the time. Like it would be nice to sort of stand there and take it in.
Yeah.
But this is the time we got to go. If we want to get in the Vatican, we got to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got in and great experience. But then of course got in, slowed down, enjoyed it. So like you're saying, different paces of different traveling. Because if, like we're saying, you're going 1,000 miles an hour the whole time, there's a lot you're going to miss because it's just going to fly past you. You're going to do your, however long you travel, your week, your 2 weeks, your 3 weeks. You're going to arrive on your first day, do everything at 1,000 miles an hour, eventually finish, get home and go, but what did I actually do? Because I was so busy traveling here and doing this and going there, that instead of just standing there and absorbing it and taking it in and enjoying it and feeling the events, feeling the emotions, feeling all that, that's what makes you, because if you think about it, sometimes you'll go out to, say, a club or whatever, best night ever, you'll hear that song again because you have that emotional attachment to that song. But if you didn't have the emotional attachment to the song, you wouldn't like the song.
Yeah.
Now you'll got this emotional attachment to this moment, and it'll never leave you. You'll remember it for the rest of your life because you have that emotional attachment. You need to experience that. You need to sometimes slow down, take the breath, and go, cool, I want to make a connection to this moment, and just enjoy it, experience it. So yeah,
I 100% agree. I actually have a different Vatican/Italy story, where the Vatican for me wasn't like that big of a moment. Like I went to it, but like there were tons of tourists, and I felt like I was being pushed along and kind of rushed.
Yeah, it is like that sometimes.
But what really I loved in Italy was that in Venice, all my friends were telling me, don't spend much time in Venice. Don't even go to Venice. It's overrated. But I kind of I loved the canals because I love being around water.
Yeah. And
I actually found, so I had met up with my dad in Rome. A total coincidence that we were both traveling at the same time.
Well,
and
nice.
When he heard I was going to Venice, he was like, if you have time, check out this one Armenian monastery. I didn't even know this thing was there. Like I was going to Venice the next day, and I was like, okay, we'll see. Well, we had time, so we took a boat out and went to this little monastery, this tiny island in Venice, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. It turned out to be like they had it was the 6th largest repository of books, ancient books in the world.
Really?
They had like 100,000 plus ancient texts, from like religious books to science books to cookbooks, all from like ancient times. And like we learned tons about the history of the monks and like things like that, and how Venice was built and things like that. And I was like, this is such a cool moment. In addition to like it connecting back to my heritage, it like made it an especially awesome moment for me. And no one that I've talked to that has gone to Italy has ever like even knew about this monastery, let alone like been to it.
Yeah, because that's why, like we're saying, is sometimes you go out and you go traveling and you find some hidden gems. And like you're saying, for you having your heritage there too, that created the motion. But it was also like, what I've noticed about you is like, when we do the like big temples and the tours, there's so many tours, so many people there. Like you saying in the Vatican, they just push you through like another number. So you don't have that special connection to it. You have the photo and going, yeah, cool, I've gone there, I've seen it. But to find the hidden gems, to really go and explore and really look around, and where you can actually have more time, where you can, like you're saying, stand in the cathedral and have time, and you don't have some guy rushing you going, okay, you've taken 2 pictures, enough, move on. You can actually stand there and like breathe it in and take it in, and especially when you have heritage to it and stuff, it's great. You don't always have to go see the big ones. And that's why, like you're saying, so you got your story there where you have the emotion to it of you went there, your heritage, and I've been to Venice too, and I've never even heard of that cathedral. But at the end of the day, everyone travels differently, everyone sees different, and that's what you like. You like taking your time and reading things and not being pushed through and all that. So that's why it's great, and you only realize that when you're traveling. Because if you're at home at a restaurant and someone pushes you, just tell them, hey mate, just wait. But when you're there and people are shouting you in Italian and all that,
there's not much you can do.
Sorry, I'll move on. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So
and I think a practical tip that I have for if you want to like see what your real experience is with a place, just like focus on slowing down your breathing a bit. I've talked about this a lot, like a little bit on the podcast and a lot with my friends, that like our breathing is our life force. It is core to our bodies, obviously, and also our minds. And we spend a lot of our lives doing very shallow, quick breaths
Yeah.
that we don't really think about. But there's a lot of interesting practice in yoga that's associated with yoga, like called pranayama, where it's this philosophy of that the breath is the life force, and if you focus more intentionally on the breath, then it does change how you experience things. So even just doing slower breaths in and slower breaths out, even for like 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, and the out breath is more important than the in breath. Actually, it actually there is like interesting research that it does actually slow down your heartbeat. It gets you out of your sympathetic nervous system and into your parasympathetic, which then gets you into rest and digest. It gets you to focus less on safety and like moving fast and more on enjoying the moment and really being present.
Yeah, because like you're saying, even if you go for a run, if you're going for a run, you don't, and you're tired, you unfortunately can't, like you're saying, control your breathing and everything. What are you doing? You're short breathing, you're hyperventilating, and what are you doing? You exercising, so you panicked, you're wide awake, but you're not actually going there, okay, cool, I'm enjoying the run. But when you start your run and you're fit enough and you got the breathing going, you're like, oh, this running thing, it's great, why have I not done it before? Then you get to the point where you get tired and you shallow breathing and all that, and you're like, okay, this is why I don't like it anymore, I realize. So the same as traveling, as you're moving a lot, you're walking around a lot, you get tired, and that's why with the breathing, having correct breathing, it really does help, because then you can walk further. You don't get as tired. You're not walking around and going, oh, I need to go and sit at a cafe for half an hour to rest. And that's you losing time and the money buried that you paid. Instead of just walking at a casual pace, focusing on your breathing, and it also, as you focus on your breathing, you're staying calm. As you keep in calm, then you're more aware of things. You're not hyperventilating, because in your body, if you're hyperventilating, heart rate's going, brain's going, you're wide awake, you're on alert mode. And being on alert mode, you're more worried about the dangers, as you're saying, safety. You're more worried about the dangers around you, instead of going, breathe, take the time, calm down, I'm safe, everything's fine, and look around and enjoy. And you'll enjoy it a lot more.
And what greater danger is there if you're in this heightened state than being in a foreign place? So like,
that doesn't help,
it doesn't help. So like really like rushing actually like makes your experience worse.
And then I've noticed, I've gone and traveled with other people, and people rush, and then they're not calm, and then they get angry, and especially if they're traveling with their partner, then they start shouting at their partner. And then you get back with your partner or whatever, and you're like, oh, I hated that trip. Instead of just going, guys, just breathe, just calm down, take your time, and it really does. Then you last a bit longer when you go out walking. You're not there sweating and hyperventilating and going, oh, I'm so tired, I can't walk up these stairs anymore. Like the stairs we did today. That's why slow breathing, staying
Take
calm.
it one step at a time. Don't look at the 50 steps you have to do. Just do one step at a time.
And then that's why, and know that, yes, you do have limited time in your trip, but don't think, I've got to do everything now. Also go, you know what, I do have limited time, yes, but I'm going to take my time. There's nothing wrong with taking your time when you're traveling. That is probably the best advice I could probably also say. Even though you're traveling, take your time. Don't think it's a be all and end all. If you travel to a place and you really do love it, then you know what, get back home and go, cool, write down your mission board, or write down whatever you need to do to motivate you to go, okay, I really love this place, I want to go back. What can I start planning? How can I start saving? How can I get back there? Because you loved it so much. And then the second time you go back, you'll be a lot calmer, and you'll spend a lot more time there, and you'll enjoy it a lot more. That's why you don't have to see absolutely everything, because the world's a massive place. You can't go, like, we're here for 26 days. There's things that we're gonna miss. It's gonna happen.
Even like a city as like, you know, like even with like the current place we're in, Chiang Mai, like there's no way we could even see everything within 26 days probably if we had just spent that time here. And like, but that's not the point of traveling. You don't want to travel by trying to hit every single thing, because it's impossible. You're not going to do it, and you're going to kind of have a miserable time if you try. Instead, focus on the experiences that you're doing. Be present.
And that's also one thing I've realized, like we're saying. So like tonight, we have, after our Vespertour or whatever tonight, we have like 4 different options, and that's just the one thing we're going to do tonight. So that's already, like we're saying, so many options. We have 4, we're going to choose one. But I've realized, which helps you give you confidence and give yourself a voice, and of going, you know what, it's my traveling. I've paid the money, I want to be here. So if even tonight I don't want to go out, I can want to stay in the hotel room because I'm tired and sleep.
Exactly.
I don't have to go and do it. It's my vacation. It's my travels. I'm doing it to suit myself because I'm the one that's here doing it. So as soon as you realize that and go, okay, what makes me happy? And you take that couple seconds, you go, okay, well then, yeah, I'll go do this. Yeah, I want to go do this. And then everything will just link together and connect. Then you're a lot happier. You'll take your time a lot more. You'll be breathing a lot better. You'll be like realizing you could go a lot further than what you ever thought you could when you're walking. And it all just kind of starts with just going, you know what, this is my travel, and just do your own thing. You don't always have to go with the group and do as everyone says. But as long as, like you're saying, you just stay calm and you realize it's your vacation, you make your decisions, everything will come together. It always works out. That's what I've at least realized. And trust me, I've been in some situations, I've lost my passport, I've missed flights, I've missed trains, I've done all
and those
that.
can be so stressful.
Yep, very stressful. There are a lot of people that would just freak out and be like, hey, that's my trip done. But for me, I go, you know what, it is what it is, it happens, and just let it be. What will be, and just try and make the best of it and go from there. And you know what, now I've got stories and I could talk about the time I lost my passport in the Caribbean
Exactly.
and things like that, and it's just, everyone laughs about it, it's a joke, but you know what, I'm still here, got another passport, I'm here traveling. And that's the thing, just as long as you stay calm, it'll work out. It always does, trust me, it works out.
Oh yeah, it really does. I like to say that today's disasters are tomorrow's like funny jokes, funny stories.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good way of looking at it. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that, I think that's another nice learning from like mindfulness that I've been like really, like enjoying. I guess that there's no point in being upset, or like there's no point in fighting the reality. Like if you've lost your passport, like they're worrying, like freaking out about it isn't going to make your passport reappear.
Yes, that's true.
It's like now you're living in this reality. Now it's time to deal with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Of going, you know what, laugh. What do they say? Laugh is while you're making mistakes. Laugh is a saying. It's something like that. And you know what, while you're making mistakes and things happen, laugh's still going to keep going. If you standing there freaking out because you lost your passport, or like you trying to make another plan, whatever, life's still going to keep going. It's still going to keep happening. So you know what, instead of freaking out and all that, just go with it. Start talking to people. Hey, how can I get help? How can I get home? Email people, phone people. Today with technology, everyone's a phone call away, everyone's a message away, and there are people out there that are willing to help. And that's why as soon as you go through and mistakes happen, and again, like you said, it ends up being funny stories. And then you look back on it, and it's something you'll look back at for the rest of your life and go, you know what, I traveled, I lost this happened. Oh, it was a hell of a trip. But you know what, it was a hell of a trip for you. It was your hell of a trip, and you'll never forget it again.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're learning new things about yourself on this trip?
Yes, I think I am. This trip compared to last one, I feel like when I did my first one over in America, I was very nervous. I didn't know how people are going to be. I didn't know who my roommate was going to be. All the usual things that everyone thinks about as you're going on a trip.
Yeah.
Because of course your roommate can come from anywhere in the world, be any sort of person. So you never know. And of course you want to be with someone that you get along with and stuff like that, which is great, but it doesn't always happen. But you know what? Just be the person that you are. It is what it is. So I've realized there I was shy and I was quiet, and it took me a while to get to know people and kind of get into it. And I was of course traveling and realizing that there's no point in really being shy. I've realized coming into this one now, it's literally, as you saw me and Brandon, it's straight out the gates. We friends, I'm going around, I'm talking to everyone, I'm learning a lot more, and I've realized that I feel like I'm getting a lot more out of this trip than I did for the American trip. Because that one, I didn't go around and ask questions. I just kind of like went along with the group and went to the places they took us to, and I went, oh, okay, cool, picture, cool, this is awesome, I'm seeing this, okay, cool, when we're going to the pub. Like that's what I did the last time. Now I realize I've come down, I'm like, you know what, I've traveled, I know how to travel, I know how to now make things special for me because I've learned a lot about myself. So now I go, okay, cool, instead of just going, you know what, the pub will always be there, beers will always be there, everyone on the trip wants to go and have some beers and have some fun. But they're going to the temples and experiencing the history and experiencing the culture and all that won't always be there. So you need to go to the places. Like I've seen a lot of people, like especially on temples, a lot of it's sacred. And some people are, maybe it's just me being a little bit cheeky, but a lot of people go, they hang there, I don't think you can go there, I don't think you could do that. I'm going, you know what guys, you're not doing any harm about going to go ask someone, maybe just sticking your head around the corner, and if someone shouts you just go, sorry, I didn't know. But you know what, you you pushed yourself. You did something else that no one else did. You weren't just another number on the tour. You made the tour yours. You went through and you asked questions, and that's what I've realized that I'm doing now. I'm coming through a lot more confident on this tour, and I'm like, you know what? I'm having a great time with everyone. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, at the end of the day,
But you're making it your vacation.
yeah. But at the end of the day, it's my vacation. So I'm like, I'm getting along with everyone, having a great time. But I also don't mind just saying, sorry guys, I don't want to really hang out today. I'm gonna go walk down the street by myself, and you can do that. And so that's what I've definitely learned. And of course, I've learned to keep your passport safe. As you all know, that's one thing you definitely need. But I think a lot of it is also, especially I know a lot of people when it comes on to traveling and all that, about packing, and also again as we say, the simpler sort of things. And a lot of people go online and they look at going, oh well, save space and pack like this and do that. At the end of the day, again, as we keep saying, it's your trip. You pack clothes differently. You're comfortable in clothes differently to other people. If you like wearing big jackets and long pants, and I like wearing sort of board shorts and like a vest or like a tank top, then I'm gonna of course have more space than you. Yeah. It's your trip. You make what you're comfortable for. Because as soon as you get to a place and you unpack your bag and you go, oh yeah, I should have brought this from home, but they told me not to, that's you already spinning out. Yeah. Instead of going, you know what, I want this on my trip, this is what I'm going to pack, and you pack it. That's as long as you know that. It's you in control of your own trip. You're in control of your own destiny, eh?
yeah, it's true. I think that's beautiful learnings. Even for this short time. Like you said, we've been on this tour for like 4 or 5 days. So like it's great that you're learning all these things so close. And I think it really shows, it's a testament to like how far you've come in your journey of understanding yourself, that you can start having these learnings and reflections faster than you probably could earlier.
Yeah, and that's correct. Of going now, I'm saying, so I've picked up on how compared to the last trip, how I've changed and what I've improved on, and I can see what I've improved on. Like I said, when I go back home and I eventually see the parents after a while, they say, oh, you've grown up a lot more, you're a lot more mature, a lot more world-wise, everything else. And then you kind of like realize in your head when you actually start seeing it, when you become consciously aware of, cool, I actually have changed and I have improved myself and I'm happy with where I am and what I'm doing. Then you go, okay, well, what's next then? Well, how else can I look at things? How else can I maybe improve myself? How else can I maybe do things to make me happier? How can I? And then you start looking at that and you're going, you know what? I've achieved this. I've come this far. What's stopping me from doing anything else? Because you look back and you literally have your own back. You can look back and go, okay, I've achieved this and I've done this. So now what's stopping me from growing more? What's stopping me from going on this adventure? What's stopping me from meeting these people? What's stopping me from talking to those people? Yeah. And it really does. And like you're saying, I actually didn't realize it until you said it, how quickly I can actually now pick up and reflect on what I used to be and how I used to act compared to now, and that's just come from, like you're saying, traveling and taking myself out of my comfort zone and being like, you know what, I'm going to make this work. And you make a way and you learn. And it really is. It's a really beautiful thing to go through life when you're traveling and you're seeing the world, and as you're doing it, you're growing as a person, and people are noticing that you're growing and you're seeing that you're growing. And it's really tough to take a smile off of someone's face like that, because that's what most people want in life, just to be happy, see the world, travel. And you know what, again, it's your life. You make it what you want it to be. So yeah
100%. I think that's beautifully said. So we've been going for about an hour now. Yeah. And I know that the sun is directly in your eyes. And I want to be respectful of that.
No, it's okay.
So So do you have any final thoughts before we conclude?
Final thoughts is, try to sign it off, is always a tough thing, because there's a lot, as we've kind of discussed and gone through, and I think we've only just scratched the surface of what it involves to travel and be part of yourself and grow. Probably the main thing that I've learned that keeps me going, because I used to be, when I was younger, be a person that I used to panic a lot. If something goes wrong, or I used to think up like situations in my head of how it could go wrong, and then and I'd stress out about it, and it would like give me migraines and make me sick. And the older I got, especially again from traveling, is going, don't do that to yourself until something happens that's a problem. Don't create them. Because a lot of the time, like I said, I create it in my head and I'm like, oh, this is going to happen. I get there, I do the activity, and it never happened. And I'm like, I wasted all that. You
stressed it for nothing.
Wasted all that time and effort and stress for absolutely nothing. Yeah. And that's what I've learned. That is one very good thing. Is, you know what, take life as it comes. Don't try to plan too far ahead, and don't look that far back at all. Yeah. Treasure the moments back there, but don't dwell on them. But yeah, and then probably another one is don't be shy. People are people. Everyone loves everyone in their own certain way and all that. And yeah, so I think that's probably about it. Is just, get yourself out there, do what you need to do, and it doesn't have to be a big overseas trip to travel. It can be a trip, say, down the coast with your friends and family. It's everyone.
Or even like go even like 10 kilometers from your house. That's a trip too.
Exactly.
I have this from my last trip. I took home this philosophy of be a traveler in your own home.
Yeah, that is true. Yes.
Because like even your neighbors, you may not know as deeply as you know yourself. So getting to know like the people in your life is an excellent way to like learn new lived experiences and kind of like get that same feeling of traveling without actually traveling.
Yeah, because that's what like we discussed earlier is, of course, I've read a couple books and things like that, but I've come through from traveling and realizing that I learn from talking to other people. I learn from their experiences, their upbringings, their beliefs, their religion, their whatever makes them them. I've learned from that, and it's grown me as a person. It's given me a more of a eye-opening experience of the world, and to see what's out there. And yeah, that's a great part. And again, I think it's also a very good thing that we've also kind of discussed about it and kind of nudged a bit in that direction of just being like, sometimes get out of your comfort zone, because it doesn't have to be a major thing. I'm not saying sell up your house and move countries, but just go somewhere a little bit different. Just push yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Depending on the person that you are, just take your time, and that's when you figure out your inner voice, as we said, and then you find out what person you are, and then anything that is different, you learn from it, and that's you growing. Anything that's different that you never knew before, you know now, and that's learning. That's it.
100%.
So, yeah.
100%. I think being present is really key, and like you mentioned, like I used to be very shy too, and sometimes I am shy, and I noticed that usually the shyness comes from an anticipation of rejection, or an anticipation of something going wrong if I reach out to the other person. And that is like when we anticipate something, we are trying to look at the future, and the future is all probabilities. That may not happen. Like that person might be very kind, and if you're focused on a future that may not happen, you're ignoring the present. If you focus on the present, you have nothing to fear. Just be kind, ask a question, be nice, and people will generally, more often than not, show kindness back.
Yeah, that is one thing that I've realized is, even though I'm a talkative person, as we've discussed, I've literally looked at someone and gone, okay, they're my last option to go ask for help. I'm going to do it. I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit nervous. I won't lie. But when I went up to them and I chatted to them, and they were the nicest, most helpful people ever. I'll never forget. I think I was, when I just started yachting, and I think I was going up to, was it Naples or Ventimiglia up there in Italy? And I went up there by myself, and I was a bit lost. I think I was walking around the supermarket, and I saw this old guy, like that, covered in tattoos and everything. You know, the usual, like, this guy's scary. Ended up going up to him, asked him for help. Nicest guy ever. He said, "Oh, come." He ended up inviting me. Went and had dinner with his family.
Oh
and
my
we had
God,
some
that's
beers.
so kind. Oh, that's
and
such
nicest
a
guy
lovely
ever. And he's like, "I'm glad I can help. Enjoy the rest of the time. If you have any questions," gave me his number, and he's like, "Oh, I'm here to help. Let me know." But that's why it's just you never know until you try. That's the easy way of saying it. And you know what? Just don't always, like you're saying, don't assume the worst about things. If you're in the present, you can't be worried about what you're doing now, because you only know what you're doing now.
Exactly.
That's the big thing about it. You can't be worried about what you're doing now, because it's happening. You can only control it to a certain point. But if you try over control things in the future, and a lot of it comes down to uncertainty. That's what causes people stress and all that, is uncertainty. But as soon as you know what, you're here, it's happening, I'm going to try my best and live my best life in this moment, and I'm living a present, there's nothing much more you can ask for yourself. And that's it. That's all you can really do. Just give your best in the present.
Give your best. Be kind. Be present.
Yeah.
And everything will be a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dan. This was an excellent conversation.
No problem. I'm glad I could be on. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can chat about it. And
Yeah. We should. I'm sure we'll chat more in the future, because we have a lot of similar philosophies.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm more than welcome to come back and have a chat. And I enjoyed this, even though, like you say, me on my first podcast, I was a bit nervous.
You did great.
But thanks. Thank you very much. But yeah, no, it was great. I love doing this. I love talking from my experiences, and I'm hoping it helps people out there of going, because of course I was in the same situation. I don't know what I was doing. Now I'm a lot more confident because I learned from other people. I asked other questions. So I'm hoping my experiences help other people answer their questions, and then they can go and they can make their own memories and live their own lives in the way they want to live it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm certain it will.
but yeah, awesome.
Well, thank you so much for listening to our conversation. And as always, embrace your chaos with kindness. Thank you so much.